When captured soldiers stared into the freezing emptiness of a prisoner of war barracks, survival had to be invented minute by minute. The methods they used were crude, sometimes desperate, and always practical, and honestly, many of those same principles still help people survive emergencies today. Below are 6 authentic survival methods drawn from World War II prisoner experience, described as historical practice, and translated into safe, legal actions anyone can use to prepare for hardship. Prisoners of war treated scrap as currency. A rusty biscuit tin was more than trash. It became a cup, a container for tiny valuables, or a makeshift scoop. Shoe leather got softened and repaired. Threads pulled from uniforms were braided into cordage. The principle was simple. Salvage what you have and make it last. In civilian terms, this translates into learning basic repurposing skills, keeping a small kit of durable multi-use items, learning simple repairs, and, really, viewing everyday objects as potential tools for warmth, food storage, or hygiene rather than disposable waste. Cold killed more prisoners than most realize. Men stuffed newspaper, straw, and spare clothing into gaps in their uniforms and bedding, huddled in groups, and rotated to conserve body heat. The physical takeaway is universal: trap air, avoid moisture, and keep extremities covered. That means in modern preparedness you prioritize layering clothing, protecting feet and hands, and using lightweight insulating materials rather than relying solely on one heavy garment. Prisoners of war didn't have Gore-Tex. Awan. Thobi awan indan. Had awan. The ein and the principle of insulation nailed down, and that principle still saves lives. Rations in camps were slim and unpredictable. Prisoners of war stretched food by turning bones into broth, saving every scrap of fat, and prioritizing calorie-dense items. They learned to ration not only by portion, but by timing, when to eat a little to maintain energy, and when to conserve. Today, that's practical emergency planning. Know your caloric priorities, like protein and fats for sustained energy. Plan simple long-shelf storage, and learn basic rationing psychology so panic doesn't waste supplies. Historical prisoners of war taught us the importance of disciplined, communal food management. Disease was relentless in crowded camps. Prisoners improvised cleansing routines, boiling when possible, airing bedding, and keeping wounds covered even with humble materials. They understood the core rule: break the chain of infection. In peacetime emergencies, that principle remains. Basic wound care, hand hygiene, keeping living spaces ventilated, and avoiding cross-contamination all make a measurable difference. You don't need a field hospital to act on that lesson. Clean water, simple bandages, and attention to cleanliness reduce risk dramatically. One of the most potent survival methods was psychological. POWs created schedules, taught classes, composed plays, and shared memories, deliberate activities designed to preserve identity and hope. These routines reduced despair, regulated sleep, and kept minds sharp. For modern preparedness, build and maintain routines during stressful times, set simple daily goals, practice mindfulness or breathing exercises, and engage in small purposeful tasks that create structure. Mental fitness is as vital as physical supplies. When rations failed, many prisoners turned to the landscape for sustenance. They relied on broad, well-tested knowledge, which plants were commonly eaten in their region, which roots were bitter but edible after processing, and which insects were widely eaten in numerous cultures. The safe lesson is not to experiment blindly, but to learn from trusted sources ahead of time. Take certified first aid courses, study reliable guides to wild edible plants relevant to your locale, and practice identification with an expert. Knowledge prepared in peace saves lives in crisis. Ignorance kills. WWII POWs survived by converting improvisation into method. Their hacks were never glamorous. They were adaptations of common-sense principles: repurpose, insulate, ration, keep clean, structure the mind, and learn from the land, all done with discipline and community. Those same rules apply to modern emergencies, and they're entirely safe to practice and teach. Prepare a small kit, learn basic repairs and first aid, Study reliable sources on edible plants for your region, and cultivate routines that keep your mind sharp under pressure. If you want, I can turn any one of these 6 methods into a safe, practical how-to for civilians. For example, a 400-word primer on non-technical insulation techniques for winter emergencies, or a responsible guide to basic field hygiene and wound care using commercially available supplies. Which one should I expand next?